Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to deconstruct the story of Anthropic, the AI company that pulled off a mind-blowing 19x growth spurt in just 14 months. How is that even possible? Well, we've got the inside scoop. I mean, seriously, think about that question for a second. That's a rate of growth that seems to break all the normal rules of business. But this isn't some hypothetical case study. One company actually did it. $19 billion. That's their estimated annual recurring revenue. The predictable income they can pretty much count on every year. They rocketed from just $1 billion to $19 billion in a little over a year. It's just wild. Okay, to really get our heads around this, we're diving straight into insights from the source, Amole Evasari, Anthropic's head of growth. He's pulling back the curtain on how they engineered this absolute rocket ship. Okay, check this out. This chart really puts it all into perspective. It took tech giants like Snowflake and Palantir over a decade to reach the kind of scale that Anthropic is adding every few months. This isn't just fast growth. This is growth on a completely different planet. And what's really telling is this quote from Amole. It shows that underdog mentality is still there. They didn't start with the most funding. They weren't the first ones to market. And yet here they are, totally rewriting the rulebook on how to scale. So how in the world do you actually manage this kind of explosion? Well, it's definitely not with a traditional growth hacker playbook. In fact, you could almost call their secret sauce an anti-growth strategy. Get this. Even the story of how their head of growth got hired tells you everything about their unconventional style. He was just a power user of their product, Claude. He noticed they didn't have a growth team, so he just sent a cold email to the chief product officer, and boom, he got the job. He's the only product manager they've ever hired from a cold email. Now, you'd think with numbers this good, it'd be a pretty cushy job, right? Just coasting on a wave of success. Nope. Amole says it's, quote, the hardest job I've had in my life. And here's why. The team spends about 70% of its time fighting what they call success disasters. I love that term. It's when things go so well, so fast, that other parts of the business just start to buckle and break. It's literally the best problem you could possibly have. And here's another one of their totally backward strategies. They add what they call good friction. Instead of making it easier to sign up, they deliberately add more steps. They ask you more questions. And you'd think that hurt conversion, right? Wrong. It actually helps them guide you to the perfect feature, which means you're way more likely to stick around long term. It's kind of genius. This kind of counterintuitive thinking, well, it goes all the way to the top. It's at the core of their whole growth philosophy. They're not interested in small incremental wins. They're playing an entirely different game. It's all about the big swings. So think about the standard growth model, right? Most of your effort goes into small, safe optimizations. Anthropic completely flips that on its head. They pour the vast majority of their resources into massive, game-changing exponential bets. And this quote right here is the reason why. Why would you spend all your time trying to get a 1% improvement today when you believe the product you're building is going to be 1,000 times better in just a couple of years? It just doesn't make sense. It really all comes down to their obsession with the exponential curve. They get that making tiny tweaks on a flat line is just a distraction. The real prize, the only prize, is being ready to catch and ride that next massive wave. And this is so baked into their DNA that Amole says, internally, regular old linear charts are just not cool. Everything is viewed on a log linear scale. And that's not just some nerdy quirk. It forces the entire team to think in terms of orders of magnitude, not tiny percentage points. All right, let's get into the really wild stuff. This is where they start using their own powerful AI to basically build the future of growth itself. So they've built this system called CASH. It's an acronym, but all you need to know is that it uses their own AI, Claude, to put the entire growth experimentation process on autopilot. So picture this loop. Claude finds a potential opportunity. The system then builds a new feature or changes some copy. It runs the A/B test, and then Claude analyzes the results and learns from them. That whole cycle is becoming more and more automated, letting them test ideas at a speed no human team could ever match. Now, they're quick to say it can't handle the complex, strategic work of a senior product manager yet, but its performance is already on par with a junior PM. A junior PM that works 24/7, never gets tired, and gets smarter every single day. It's like having an engine that just prints winning experiments. So,
After all that, what are the key takeaways from Anthropic's masterclass in growth?
Here's the high-density recap of the playbook we just broke down. A historic growth trajectory, a team that's focused on the problems of success, a philosophy that prioritizes huge swings over small tweaks, and a future where the entire growth engine is automated by AI. And if there's one single idea to take away from all this, it's this one. In a world that's moving exponentially fast, the biggest wins don't come from optimizing what you're doing right now. They come from building the systems that will let you ride the next giant curve. Which brings us to a really interesting debate. This whole idea of automating growth with AI. Do you think it's a genius move that's going to free up humans to be more creative? Or is it a massive pitfall that's going to eventually make growth teams obsolete? Let us know what you think and make your case down in the comments.